I want to get straight to Phil LeBeau, who also has some news this morning and a special guest as well. Phil?
Thank you, Andrew. The news is from Frontier Airlines announcing a big expansion. Let's bring in Barry Biffle, CEO of Frontier. Barry, you are going to be adding 20 routes, primarily targeting a lot of the strength, if you will, for Spirit Airlines. With their future in doubt, you're clearly making a play for those customers. Why not just make a play for Spirit? Why not come out and say, you know what, we want to buy you again?
Well, I'm not here to talk about M&A, but I am here to talk about how exciting the news we have of expanding. And we see a clear path with Spirit's adjustments to being the number one low-fare airline in America. We're already the top airline in half the top 20 metros, and we see a clear path to being number one over the next year or so with their changes and the things we're doing, not just on the network, but on the frequent flyer side as well.
Barry, if Spirit collapses, how much of their market share do you pick up?
I think that we would pick up the majority. If you look on a nonstop basis, over half of their customers can fly us with the changes we've made this morning on a nonstop basis, and 85% on a connect basis. And we've identified, around another 30 to 40 routes that would get us over 70%. So I think we would likely be the biggest beneficiary. But we're not here to speculate about their situation.
Barry, we're looking at a chart of Frontier right now. Look, it hasn't been a good performance for your stock. And there are more than a few who say, hey, look, Frontier has lost money on a net basis 8 of the last 10 quarters. Does the low-fare business model still work?
Oh, absolutely. I think the low-fare model is great. There's just been too much capacity, Phil. In the United States, we've got too much legacy basic economy. We've got too much low-cost capacity, with Southwest guiding to a loss, JetBlue guiding to a loss. And then there's too much space, too much capacity in ultra-low-cost space. So, look, there's demand for low fares, and we believe we're going to be able to fill that void that people have. But at the end of the day, we need to see a little less capacity in the United States for everybody to be healthy.
Square this for me, Barry. You're talking about the need for less capacity, and yet you guys are going to be adding 20 new routes. Now, I understand 20 in the overall system is not going to break the bank, but some people will hear that and they'll say, well, wait a second, we need less capacity. Shouldn't there be more of a pullback, so to speak?
Well, actually, so total capacity is not going up, right? So we're not increasing total capacity. We're going to reallocating some excess capacity in other places, and we're kind of filling that void for consumers as Spirit kind of adjust their capacity in many places. So yes, total capacity is still going down, but Frontier's share of that capacity is going up.
Hey, quickly, Barry, because we're running up against a break here. What's your sense of the consumer right now? There was a lot of hand-wringing that we would see people pulling back on travel. Look, we've had 4 of the 10 busiest days ever this year. So clearly people are still traveling. What's your sense?
Our sense is that there's a lot of excitement. I think, we're talking about it on your network here about kind of the excitement and so forth. And I think there's a lot of concern. I think we go back 30 to 60 days, but it feels like there's a lot of optimism. So I think when we get past Labor Day, we're going to find out what the fall has in store. But I think there's a lot of optimism about travel and the economy overall now.